of the best IBA boxers of all time. Consecutive World Championship golds in 2011, 2013 and 2015. Followed that up by consecutive runs to the final at the editions in Hamburg, 2017 in Yekaterinburg 2 years later. 3 consecutive Olympic bronzes, one of the best to ever do it out of the Caribbean fight crazy island of Cuba, and that is Lazaro ALVAREZ into the ring ahead of this inaugural IBA World Championship contest for a belt scheduled for 10 3-minute rounds.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, here to accompany the next fighter to the ring, once again, the legendary MMA champion, the notorious Conor McGregor, along with, representing Russia, Albert Alva BATYRGAZIEV.
Well, we've talked about the iconic status and considerable accomplishments of Lazaro ALVAREZ. His opponent is the reigning Olympic champion, Albert BATYRGAZIEV of Russia, currently an undefeated professional with a record of 10-0 in the paid ranks. And these two men have plenty of history over the course of their IBA-style boxing careers. Perhaps most notably, they met at the semi-final stage of the Tokyo Olympic Games. It was BATYRGAZIEV who prevailed en route to Olympic gold. Here they prepare to face off over 10 3-minute rounds for the inaugural IBA World Championship
we
belt.
will honor both of these fighters with their respective national anthems. First, the national anthem for Cuba. Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem for Russia. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening, a presentation of the International Boxing Association and sponsored by Gazprom. It's undefeated versus undefeated. 10 rounds of boxing for the vacant IBA Lightweight Championship of the World. Sponsor, the IBA President Umar Kremlov, Supervisor at ringside for the IBA Mark Williams. The 3 judges scoring from Italy, Luca Vandalonga, from Kazakhstan, Alisher Altayev, and from Uzbekistan, Alex Hamidov. Inside the ring, in charge of the action at the bell, World Championship veteran referee from the United States, Steve Willis. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the officials are in place and they are ready. The fighters are in the ring and they are ready. So for those in attendance and the millions watching around the world, from Dubai, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the black corner. He's wearing his country's colors of red, white, and blue. Officially weighing in at 59.65 kilograms. He's one of the all-time great amateurs with a record that has 214 victories and 3 Olympic bronze medals. Now as a professional, a perfect record consisting of 6 fights, 6 victories, 4 big wins by knockout. Damas y caballeros de Pinar del Rio y Habana, Cuba, the undefeated Lazaro Principe Alvarez. And across the ring, fighting out of the gold corner, officially weighing in at 59.95 kilos, wearing red with blue and white trim. He is a 2020 Olympic gold medal champion. Now as a professional, like his opponent, a perfect record. His consists of 10 fights, 10 victories, including 7 big wins by knockout, living, training, and fighting out of and representing the people of Russia, the undefeated BATYRGAZIEV.
Right now we're going to call this low here. We're going to call it low here. Top.
Well, what a moment for both of these familiar rivals as the seconds and extras leave the ring, leaving them to answer the opening bell in this inaugural IBA Professional World Title bout. We're underway. 10 3-minute rounds between boxers who know all about one another. 2 undefeated professionals facing off for the first ever IBA professional title fight in history. 2 southpaws going head to head. The man on the perimeter of the boxing ring wearing the Cuban flag on the right leg of his shorts is Lazaro ALVAREZ, 6-0 in the professional ranks. And coming off a first round stoppage in Cancun earlier this summer, also featured at the IBA Fight Champions Night in Sepukov, Russia, where he outpointed the sharp-shooting Russian Vsevolod Shumkov. The man on the front foot has a perfect 10-0 ledger in the professional ranks. And he was in the ring as recently as October. That is Albert BATYRGAZIEV, the Tokyo Olympic champion who bested Lazaro ALVAREZ at the semi-final stage of the Olympiad in Tokyo. They had met 2 times prior to that, and on both of their earlier meetings, including the 2019 quarterfinal, it was Lazaro ALVAREZ who prevailed. But I commentated on those contests, and indeed that aforementioned Olympic semi-final And it appeared as though Alvarez just appeared to run out of steam as BATYRGAZIEV went through the gears, particularly in the third round. And given that this contest is scheduled for 10 threes, well, how will Lazaro Alvarez, the older man by some 7 years at 32 years of age to the 25 years of BATYRGAZIEV, how will he cope with the pace? But of course, he is masterful at controlling the tempo. Spent the majority of the round on the perimeter of the boxing ring here as BATYRGAZIEV tucking up behind high-held gloves and edging his way forwards behind a piston-like right jab. Even though both men are southpaws, they approach the sport with such different strategies and styles. Alvarez so loose-limbed and fluid. BATYRGAZIEV altogether tight up. You see Alvarez scoring with that wonderful darting right jab in between from BATYRGAZIEV. Left hand around the corner from BATYRGAZIEV. With a looping shot threatening to stray around Alvarez's back. You see how composed both boxers are up in the ring. That's a solid shot from BATYRGAZIEV, which disrupts the stance of Alvarez. Alvarez looking for the overhand left. There's an educated roundhouse left from BATYRGAZIEV, which gets through. And again, just that glare exchange at the end of the round. Two boxers sharing the roped arena for the 4th time. They know what's in store, but remember, this one scheduled for 10 3-minute rounds. Some of the action from the first round. Neither man a stranger to the 10-round distance, thanks to their sojourns into the professional ranks. But here, they've got the pressure of the World Championship at stake to deal with as well. So into the second round then, both boxers settling into their rhythms immediately. During the course of the opening round, contest that is scheduled for 10 threes. And it's Shumkov invariably on the front foot. Alvarez just looking to use the space of the boxing ring. Both men getting their opponents out of their most recent outings in the professional ranks. Lazaro Alvarez attempted to qualify for yet another Olympic Games at the Pan Am Games in Santiago recently, but was eliminated before the qualification round by his Canadian opponent. Alvarez has been the 10-round distance on 1 occasion, whereas BATYRGAZIEV, also no stranger to the 10-round distance, has completed the 10-round course 3 times. So again, good right hook to the body from BATYRGAZIEV as Alvarez looking to just find gaps in BATYRGAZIEV defenses with that rangefinder of a right hand. Look at that for a clever right cross on the back foot from Alvarez, but BATYRGAZIEV continuing to press, and he's snaking sneaky right hands in between the defenses of the Cuban boxer. So it's terrific two-way action between these two familiar rivals. Again, both men never further away from just on the edge of range, always within punching distance, but it's BATYRGAZIEV, after absorbing a shot from Alvarez, who is keen to get back behind that incessant lead right hand. Good left hand to the body landed by Alvarez just a few moments ago. Alvarez seen raising that southpaw backhand, so characteristic with Cuban success, particularly when they re-entered the Olympic stage. Barcelona 92 after missing the games of 84 and 88 due to political boycott. And what a return to the Olympic stage it was, but look at BATYRGAZIEV continuing to press forward. And he's giving the impression of being the busier boxer, but remember, it is early days yet. No panic evident on the faces of either of these two experienced men. BATYRGAZIEV just causing Alvarez to miss. Again, BATYRGAZIEV initiating the attack, Alvarez answering to have the final word of that trade-off at the end of the second round. And as it is once, Steve Willis, the referee, just nodding in appreciation the action that he's witnessing here, because it is of high quality indeed. So much skill in evidence between these two global gold medalists from the IBA 3-round format of boxing. So into the third round then, and if you haven't watched IBA boxing for some time, you may be surprised to see Cuban boxers competing on the global stage. But as Alvarez looking for that southpaw left, but he runs onto a right hand after he went in search of it once again. And again, both boxers bombing away, getting plenty of leverage into their shots. But the long-time moratorium on professional boxing on the island of Cuba was lifted, which allows Cubans to compete in the paid ranks, although it's interesting the manner in which they go about it. Lazaro Alvarez and Julio Cesar La Cruz and Arlen Lopez, Roniel Iglesias, they compete in a team format known as the Domadores. They all wear the same colors. Invariably, they make their way down to Mexico, and they compete as individual professionals, but there is still very much a team feel when they go about their work. Oh, terrific counter, two-shot combination from Lazaro Alvarez to just cause the advancing BATYRGAZIEV to be stopped in his tracks. Right jab, left cross to the body from Alvarez as BATYRGAZIEV continuing to nudge away. Right jab from BATYRGAZIEV just jolts Alvarez's head back as he was looking for his own offense. BATYRGAZIEV continuing to stalk his man, looking to cut off the ring and always remain on his chest. But Alvarez, very difficult customer to cause, very difficult customer to try and ruffle his feathers. BATYRGAZIEV similarly cool and composed. Good left hand to the body from Alvarez. Good right hand slung in as a hook from Alvarez. There you see him shaking his head as if to say to BATYRGAZIEV, didn't score, but then the left cross which followed behind a right jab did. And again, neither boxer looking for respite. 2 minutes and change gone in this third round. And it's BATYRGAZIEV invariably on the front foot, but Alvarez occasionally holds his feet in a bid to try and stop the advance of BATYRGAZIEV, just as he did with that left cross there. But remember, in professional boxing, observers can sometimes favor the aggressor, but remember, in order for that to be a component of ring generalship, it has to be effective aggression. And BATYRGAZIEV is certainly demonstrating that, but Alvarez, see, rare forward foray there. And his double lead right hand and overhand left. Celebrating the overhand left success once again, and then one more just after the bell for good measure from Alvarez. My goodness, this is non-stop two-way action between these two decorated IBA star boxers. So into the fourth round of a contest scheduled for 10, Lazaro ALVAREZ out quickly to begin this fourth round, but BATYRGAZIEV just resumes his forward foot slog, always looking to edge forwards. ALVAREZ, again, not backing up directly, but looking to spin off the line. BATYRGAZIEV's concentration has proved very difficult to break. See, continuing to come forwards, and there's a hard overhand left from ALVAREZ, but then right back into his rhythmic punching is BATYRGAZIEV, and now his boxing stance has been disrupted by one of the roundhouse lefts landed by Lazaro ALVAREZ. The contest springing into life here with a minute gone in the fourth round. BATYRGAZIEV, who's appeared rock solid on his feet, it was that shot there, a looping roundhouse left, which may have just scrambled the equilibrium of BATYRGAZIEV, because all of a sudden his sure-footed boxing stance as he's run into a southpaw right once again. It was disrupted momentarily. ALVAREZ sensed it and was on him in a flash, but now BATYRGAZIEV, accurate snaking of his gloves around the defenses of ALVAREZ once again, but ALVAREZ continuing to press, and BATYRGAZIEV being forced to back up more in this round than he has done at any point in the contest. Becoming just a little bit more ragged now. Have his senses been scrambled by the looping roundhouse lefts of Lazaro ALVAREZ? Beyond the halfway stage of this fourth round, BATYRGAZIEV looking to remain in the pocket and punch away. But his defenses a little less compact than they were prior to ALVAREZ's success. And now this contest could well be being taken beyond skill and testing the intangibles of heart and will and desire, even though it's only the fourth round of a scheduled 10. ALVAREZ, oh, there's a cracking left hand once again. And BATYRGAZIEV just bouncing on his toes to ensure that he's still got full control of his legs. But this one resembling a professional fight now rather than a skillful amateur contest. And of course, the amateur adjective has been removed from elite IBA boxing. But this one taking on an altogether more physical quality here in the fourth round. ALVAREZ scoring with spearing straights. BATYRGAZIEV trying to walk his man down once again. Good head movement with the layback from ALVAREZ. Beautiful counter right jab from ALVAREZ after BATYRGAZIEV initiated the attack. Here's a roundhouse right landed out of the southpaw stance, but again, look at the manner in which ALVAREZ's shots are stopping BATYRGAZIEV in his tracks, and again, there's a nod of respect between these two familiar rivals. That's the left hand that disrupted the boxing stance of BATYRGAZIEV. ALVAREZ jumped on him in a flash, but BATYRGAZIEV, well, he never ran, he never hid, even though his stance and his defenses didn't appear as unbreachable as they appeared to for large portions of the first 3 rounds. So into the 5th round then. Lazaro ALVAREZ breaking through the defenses to significant effect in the 4th round, backing up BATYRGAZIEV. Bit down on his mouthpiece, so you see him shaking his head, but he takes a stiff left cross from Lazaro ALVAREZ. Roundhouse left once again from ALVAREZ, who momentarily turns orthodox while skipping away clockwise. BATYRGAZIEV being met by stiff lead right hands as he looks for his own. Right jab success, overhand left, right jab counter from BATYRGAZIEV. And now it's Alvarez just being put under pressure. He's shaking his head contemptuously, waves his gloves in, inviting pressure, and BATYRGAZIEV accommodating him in that regard. BATYRGAZIEV backing his man up and walking him down. Oh, treble left hand. Hooks and uppercut snaking through the middle and around the corner from BATYRGAZIEV. So Alvarez looking to re-establish his own accurate punch picking. But BATYRGAZIEV, after being backed up for large portions of round number 4, appears to have weathered the storm that he endured and is now back in the familiar posture that he showed for large portions of rounds 1 to 3. But let's not make any mistake. Alvarez has been in this every second of the way. The greater number of punches perhaps coming from BATYRGAZIEV, but look at that jab success on the back foot from Alvarez. But BATYRGAZIEV walking through the Cuban boxer's success and continuing to target both head and body of the 3-time IBA world champion. Again, BATYRGAZIEV busier with his punches, greater number of punches. He gets through with a left uppercut once again. Alvarez responds with a left hand to the body. Alvarez looking for that overhand left once more. And the referee, Mr. Steve Willis, always in perfect position, but I'm not sure there's been a clinch between these two boxers yet. Everything has been non-stop punch picking of the highest order as BATYRGAZIEV. You see Alvarez celebrating his success, but the greater number of punches coming from the man in red. Alvarez may have more potency on his bigger singles. And if that is how this contest continues to play out, well, we could be left with the existential question of what is more effective, as Alvarez looking for that southpaw straight left once again, inaccurate with it. BATYRGAZIEV back into the breach. Alvarez off the mark with a left hook which went long. My goodness, what an action-packed 5th round. And again, both boxers just fixing one another with a glare, because it looks as though we're going to be here for the full 10 3-minute rounds. BATYRGAZIEV endured some uncomfortable moments in the 4th, but what a response in the 5th. The treble left hand during the course of that 3 minutes from BATYRGAZIEV. Hooks and uppercuts in between the defenses of Lazaro Alvarez. We prepare to enter the second half of the contest. So 5 rounds completed, a potential 5 rounds to go in this battle for the inaugural IBA professional world title. 10 3-minute rounds scheduled between 2 of the best IBA boxers in the world. The southpaw wearing the Russian colors is Albert BATYRGAZIEV, the Olympic champion from Tokyo. The southpaw in the Cuban colors is Lazaro Alvarez, 3 consecutive world titles, 5 consecutive IBA World Championship finals, silver medals in 2017 and 2019, adding to the golds that he won consecutively. And that gives you an idea as to the caliber of men facing off for this first ever IBA Professional World Championship belt. And he's lived up to his billing thus far. These 2 men facing off for the 4th time. There's a solid right hand landed from BATYRGAZIEV in the face of the cluster from Lazaro Alvarez. And again, look at that. Alvarez with successes, countered immediately by BATYRGAZIEV. And that perhaps the contest in microcosm, although for the most part, Alvarez getting off first here through this portion of the 6th round, but for the most part it's been BATYRGAZIEV getting off first as Alvarez lands a cracking right hand to the body, only to be countered by a shot upstairs from BATYRGAZIEV. See the majority of Alvarez's successes coming on the back foot. There he held his ground, bobbing and weaving, or attempting to bob and weave beneath the punches is BATYRGAZIEV. But again, 0 clinches in this contest so far. And the punch output from both men, notable indeed. The roundhouse lead right of Alvarez was off the mark, and he was pecked by a scoring straight jab from BATYRGAZIEV. So Alvarez looking as though he's making a point of getting off first in this 6th round, after it's been BATYRGAZIEV leading the exchanges for the majority of the 5 completed rounds. Terrific punch picking off the back foot once again from Alvarez, then making his man miss by dancing his way out of the corner counterclockwise. BATYRGAZIEV continuing to remain over that front foot, but look at the punches he's being walked into. This is very clever back foot boxing from Lazaro Alvarez. There he takes a right hand and an unprotected chin, and that brings in BATYRGAZIEV to land a cluster of punches without reply. Back to the trip hammer of a right jab is Alvarez. Again off the back foot, overhand left, catches the advancing BATYRGAZIEV, and again. Wow, what a round of boxing. Completely contrasting approaches to the noble art of self-defense, but the styles combining to produce the most beautiful spectacle. Well, Alvarez turning the tables on BATYRGAZIEV in the sense that he was keen to get off first and be the initiator of the exchanges, whereas it was BATYRGAZIEV who played that role for the majority of the first 5 rounds. So into round 7 then, and look at this, both men keen to be the initiators of the exchanges, of the attacks here in round number 7. BATYRGAZIEV invariably back over the front foot. There he jolts the Cuban's head back with a piston-like lead right jab, and looking for that same shot once more. That's effectively defended by Lazaro Alvarez, who comes through with a counter southpaw left. BATYRGAZIEV spearing out that right jab to both body and head. Alvarez looking as though he's waiting to counter once again. 2-shot salvo scoring from BATYRGAZIEV, and it's BATYRGAZIEV on the front foot for this portion of the round. Waved in by Alvarez. BATYRGAZIEV quickening his feet in a bid to close the distance and keep his attacks going practically on the chest of Lazaro Alvarez. Exchange of jabs. Referee Steve Willis reminding the boxers to watch their heads, but there has been no clinching at all during the course of this contest. The men always keeping their hands free to let punches like that go. BATYRGAZIEV leading off the exchanges once again. Alvarez looking for his trusty southpaw left cross. Looping roundhouse right hook landed by Alvarez. Oh, that's a solid left hand landed by So back onto the front foot is BATYRGAZIEV as the 2 men continue to exchange punches at mid-range. That's a solid shot once again from BATYRGAZIEV. Alvarez breathing through a mouth that is open. But BATYRGAZIEV again seemingly controlling the tempo of this 7th round, taking it to Alvarez. And Alvarez, well, natural counter puncher, but BATYRGAZIEV initiating plenty of these exchanges, and they're not always being countered. That one was countered by a 2-shot salvo from Alvarez, but again it's 1st and 3rd boxing from BATYRGAZIEV. Alvarez planting his feet into the canvas and looking to get some leverage onto his punches. continuing to breathe through an open mouth, just trying to see whether there's been a nose injury sustained by Lazaro ALVAREZ, and indeed there has. That could well make his breathing more difficult. Cracking left hand from Alvarez, but countered by 2 punches without reply from BATYRGAZIEV. Closing seconds of the second round before Alvarez can return to his corner and get that nose injury seen to. Another terrific round of two-way action, and nothing but respect between two of the best IBA boxers in the world. So into round number 8 then, as BATYRGAZIEV out over his front foot once again. Have the Cuban boxer's corner been able to stem that flow of blood from his damaged left nostril? As Alvarez leading off that exchange, but BATYRGAZIEV just willing his way forward and letting his hands go once again. The nose injury leaking blood once more for Lazaro ALVAREZ as he scores with a spearing right jab, left cross, but it's making breathing really difficult for Lazaro ALVAREZ. You can see him flexing his philtrim, and there he's touched up by a combination as he's pawing away with his right glove to that nose injury. Flashing right hook lands from BATYRGAZIEV, and he's encouraged by the injury that is being sustained by the Cuban boxer. So added adversity for Lazaro ALVAREZ to deal with it here in this round as he continues to paw away at that damaged nose. But look at the manner in which he's standing in the pocket and getting the better of that portion of the round with hooks and uppercuts. But BATYRGAZIEV invariably, inevitably answers back immediately. Oh, cracking southpaw left landed by Alvarez. But BATYRGAZIEV pawing forwards and letting punches in bunches go once again. So again, every punch practically being countered. And on the occasions they're not counted, it's often BATYRGAZIEV is able to get off because of his greater volume of punches, but Alvarez making a note of equaling him in the punch output regard, despite the nose injury that he sustained. Busier with his hands in this 8th round when compared to the 7th, and that is why it's resulting in this terrific back and forth seesaw affair here with less than a minute remaining in the 8th round. And again, for back foot punch pickers like Lazaro ALVAREZ, it is incredibly important to hold one's ground just as he did there and back up the opponent. Oh, and there's another wonderfully picked left cross from Alvarez. But BATYRGAZIEV, a front foot pressure boxer, but he's being met with an absolutely sublime back foot punch picker in the form of Lazaro ALVAREZ. And that is why we are being treated to this contest of high skill and immense quality here in this inaugural contest for the first ever IBA professional title belt. 8 rounds completed. What a round of boxing once again. Lazaro ALVAREZ appeared to be a little bit distressed at the start of this 8th frame, but didn't he make a point of battling through the inconvenience and discomfort of the nose injury, planting his feet into the canvas, holding his ground, and giving BATYRGAZIEV as good as he was getting. And this is anything but a free swing up. The skill level between both of these boxers remains incredibly high. So into the penultimate round then, BATYRGAZIEV immediately over that front foot, pistoning out that lead right jab. Alvarez looking to counter while spinning off the line with a right jab of his own. And it's been that type of contest throughout. BATYRGAZIEV just fiddling with his gloves. Wonder whether he's got just a little bit of an issue with his hands. Make no mistake, whether he has or he hasn't, he's continuing to let that right hand go repeatedly. Left hand success for Lazaro Alvarez over the low held right of BATYRGAZIEV. BATYRGAZIEV reaching for his southpaw left. Good defense on the inside from Alvarez. BATYRGAZIEV continuing to press. Exchange of jabs. Both boxers must be feeling the effects of their exertions here now. And this a contest now with the intangibles are going to be tested. Principally desire. So BATYRGAZIEV scoring effectively to both head and body on that forward foray. Alvarez again continuing to sharp shoot effectively off the back foot. Again, Alvarez accurate with his own lead right jab. Left cross scores once again from Alvarez. BATYRGAZIEV countering immediately with his own right jab. He brings his left cross into play. And this has been back and forth for the entirety of the 8 completed rounds and 2 minutes of this penultimate round. Testament to the incredible conditioning of both of these boxers. Solid right jab from BATYRGAZIEV. Backed up Alvarez, and then BATYRGAZIEV kept the attack going. Alvarez will be in search of his get back, as Roy Jones Jr. is fond of saying. Just changing the direction of movement now, Alvarez. Both boxers becoming just a little bit more ragged now, and understandably so. Who will be the fresher deep into this 9th round? Solid left hand again, slung over the top from Alvarez, but look at the volume coming from the gloves of BATYRGAZIEV. Alvarez looks to match him in the output stakes as he spins back to the space of center ring by moving to his right counterclockwise. And again, it is another non-stop punching trade-off between the two rivals at center ring, where both boxers are enjoying success. My goodness. And they both know that this one is likely to go to the scorecards, because they've checked the chins and the torsos of one another repeatedly, and yet the opponent still standing, taking the best of what the other man has to offer and firing back with their own. This is a hard-fought contest in a bid to determine who will be declared as the inaugural IBA Professional World Champion.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great fight. This is round.
So into the final round we go. A contest that has been back and forth for the entirety of the 9 completed rounds comes down to the final 3 minutes. Albert BATYRGAZIEV, the Tokyo Olympic champion, has adopted this posture for the majority of the contest, on the front foot, initiating the exchanges. But we cannot discount the back foot punch picking of Lazaro ALVAREZ. And occasionally he has held his feet and backed up BATYRGAZIEV just as he's doing now. It's been a hard-fought contest for as long as the boxers have been in action. The minute's respite must have been incredibly welcomed, and each time they emerge from those intermissions to come out refreshed and with renewed energy and intensity. Good work to the body from ALVAREZ during that previous passage of the round. Again, fatigue must be becoming an increasing factor here now, but still each man able to reach down into his reserves and summon up the energy to unload fusillades of punches such as that. Look at the view the referee Steve Willis has got, because other than call time, he has had very little to do. Good two-shot salvo from BATYRGAZIEV. Back answers ALVAREZ, checking the chin of BATYRGAZIEV. And again, the determination being demonstrated by both boxers is admirable indeed, as they continue to dig deep and find the energy to explode with crisp combinations like that. Approaching a minute to go in this final round. And again, if there wasn't a duration, as BATYRGAZIEV enjoys a good portion of the round, just catching ALVAREZ flat-footed and causing him to stop in his tracks. BATYRGAZIEV enjoying a very good portion of this final frame. ALVAREZ aware of that and continuing to let his hands go in the pocket. There he lands a cracking southpaw right hook. So ALVAREZ fighting through the discomfort and inconvenience of a nose injury he's faced. A red mass now. But this is what victory over the opponent means. This is what being crowned as the inaugural IBA Professional World Champion means to both of these decorated boxers. Continuing to dig in and find the variety and accuracy to jolt the head back of their opponent. The 10-second clapper, barely audible here at the Agenda Arena in Dubai, and with the finish line in sight, both men try to increase their punch tempo. ALVAREZ taking his foot off the gas to wave his hand in celebration, in acknowledgement of what he thinks will be victory. My goodness, what a pulsating contest we have just witnessed between two of the best IBA boxers in the world in a bid for the vacant and inaugural IBA Professional World Title belt at 60 kilograms. 63.5 kilograms. The belt. Well, the boxers combining to produce an absolutely magnificent display here. Now, we await the verdict to determine who will be declared as the champion. Each man giving absolutely everything. ALVAREZ mostly on the back foot, BATYRGAZIEV on the front foot for the majority of the contest. But he was being picked off repeatedly by this man's accuracy and shot selection. What will the judges prefer at the conclusion of 10 rounds of non-stop action? Let's get the official announcement.
Before Mr. Buffer announces the verdict, let me please welcome into the ring a very special ceremony party to award the inaugural world title belt, as well as £300,000 for the winner, dollars, and also $200,000 for the runner-up. So please let me welcome the president of the IBA, Mr. Omar Kremlov, and two UFC legends, Piotr Jan and Conor McGregor.
So the presentation party into the ring. IBA President Mr. Umar Kremlev and MMA legend Piotr Jan and Conor McGregor.
10 excellent rounds. We go to the judges' scorecards. Luka Barilona scores at 98-92. Alisher Altariev scores at 97-93. And Alex Homidov scores at 98-92. All to the winner by unanimous decision. Albert Alba BATYRGAZIEV.
So Albert BATYRGAZIEV, a unanimous point decision victor over his familiar rival Lazaro ALVAREZ by scorecards of 98-92 twice and 97-93. His greater punch output and his front foot pressure must have been decisive in seeing him declared as the victor. Very difficult to prevail in a contest if you're principally on the back foot. Alvarez did hold his feet in a bid to back up BATYRGAZIEV on occasion, but clearly not enough occasions, and so he is presented with the IBA Champions belt to be declared as the first ever IBA professional world title holder at this IBA Champions Night of Boxing. $300,000 US to the winner, $200,000 to the vanquished on this occasion, and that is Lazaro Alvarez. In their fourth contest tonight, their rivalry now stands at 2 wins apiece. Albert BATYRGAZIEV prevailing on a unanimous point decision verdict at the end of a terrific two-way tussle between himself and Lazaro Alvarez. But this man's incessant forward front foot activity, seeing him declared as the points victor, and so adding the inaugural IBA World Champions belt to the Olympic crown that he won in Tokyo 2 years ago.
Партнер вечера бокса. BetBoom. Твой надежный ассистент на ринге беттинга.
Well, to the victor the spoils. There is the championship belt. BATYRGAZIEV, Albert BATYRGAZIEV prevailing over Lazaro Alvarez, and that is why he and his team all smiles at the conclusion of what was a really torrid two-way affair. Well, that just about wraps things up from the agenda in Dubai. What an IBA Champions Night of boxing it has been. And the final contest for the IBA professional world title between the Tokyo Olympic champion and 3-time IBA world champion. Well, it was worthy of its lofty status. A hard-fought affair, taking it beyond the realms of skill, and there was so much skill in evidence, but BATYRGAZIEV, see, that was the posture in which he spent the majority of the fight, on the front foot, taking it to Lazaro Alvarez. Lazaro Alvarez landing effectively out of his port-sided stance while on the back foot, but the greater number of punches and the forward motion giving the impression of being the man making the fight coming from BATYRGAZIEV, and there was the moment of confirmation, declaring him a unanimous point decision victor and the first ever IBA